Okay, so we are talking about graphing linear equations and inequalities. And so what we have here is we have an equation and then we'll have a corresponding inequality, and we can kind of compare how those two things are like or different. So there's a couple ways when you're graphing these that you can do them. One thing to do is if we solve this for y, so put it in what we call slope-intercept form. So I'm going to get my y by itself, so I'm going to subtract x over. I'll get 2y is equal to negative x plus 6. And then I'll divide each piece by 2. And we'll end up with y equals, if there's nothing in front of x, it's an implied 1. So negative 1/2 x plus 3. So then when we go to graph this, this number is going to be our y-intercept. This is our slope, and we can graph those two things. So first of all, I'll go to my y-intercept, so x-axis, y-axis. And what a y-intercept is it's the place where my graph is crossing the y-axis. Okay, and so we're going to cross the y-axis at 3. So we'll go put a dot on 3 on the y-intercept. Then from there, we're going to use our slope. Slope is rise over run. Okay, so slope is rise over run. So from this point, we're going to we're actually going to go, since it's negative 1/2, we're going to go down 1, right 2, and we'll put a dot there. Or we could also say up 1, left 2. Okay, either of those two ways works. And so what happens is that, so going up is positive, going right is positive, and then down and left is going to be negative. And the reason that we could go either of those directions is negative 1/2 is the same thing as 1 over negative 2. Those are the same number. So I could look at it as my 1 being negative, which means I would go down, then right 2. Or I could look at it as the 2 is negative, and that would mean I would go up 1, left 2. Okay, so either of those ways works. So then I would just draw my line between my points. So that is one way that you can graph this. If we think about another way that we can do this, there's actually two other ways. So I can make a table. So if I'm going to make a table, and let's say I want to have an x value of 0. Okay, well I can plug 0 in to this equation, and then I can figure out what the y value would be. So 0 plus 2y is just 2y. And then when I divide by 2, y is 3. So I have that point, and then I could go plot that point. Then I can pick another x value. So let's say I pick 1, plug 1 in. So if we plug 1 in, so 1 for our x value. So then when I move the 1 over, I'm going to get 2y equals 5. And then y is 5/2. Five halves is 2.5. So if we go to 1, an x value of 1, and we come up, we can see that that's, approximately 2.5 up there. So you can do it that way. Plug the numbers in, plug in your x values, and then figure out what your corresponding y value would be. The last thing that you can do is very similar to that, and it is to find your x and your y-intercept. And so that would be where it crosses the x-axis and where it crosses the y-axis. And so we actually already figured out the y-intercept. By plugging x in. So for plugging, x is 0 when you're doing your y-intercept. So when we're doing our y-intercept, if we plug 0 in where x is, that's what we had done earlier, and we found out that y was 3. So our y-intercept is that point 0, 3 right here. We can do x-intercept, and to do x-intercept, we would plug 0 in for y, and we'll get x plus 2 times 0 equals 6, so x is 6. And so I'm thinking that when we drew our line, it was off. So I just didn't draw this line very straight when we drew it originally. So from our y-intercept, if we went down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, okay, then it could look like that. So then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep, 6. Okay, so this is that point 6, 0. And then this is our y-intercept of 0, 3. So you could plot your x and your y-intercept, and you could draw the line in between those two. So kind of 3 different methods that you can go with. Just making a table, figuring out your slope and y-intercept, or doing your x and y intercepts. All right, so then when we're looking at this as an inequality, inequalities are really going to be the same steps, except we have to look at the shading when we're done.